Hey, welcome back to Grayson Hobby, your go-to shop for FPV drones, goggles, and everything else RC related, located right here in Loganville, Georgia, which is right outside Atlanta, Georgia. And today, what do we have?
We have the Avatar Goggles L, a new entry-level goggle from Walksnail, also Caddx, that brings a very low cost to digital FPV.
Very low cost to digital FPV. That's the key, because these are cheaper now for digital than they were analog 5 years ago.
Yeah, this is less than half the price of their other goggle.
So whether you're into FPV cars, planes, drones, these are the ticket. These are the best ones to get for the price right here.
Bang for the buck, it's going to be hard to beat.
Get to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. Hit that like button if you like this video, because we've got more stuff like this coming. We have drones and more goggles and all that good stuff. Also, leave a comment below if you have any questions. We can answer our next video when we do on the goggle Walksnail Avatar HD or the Go Film or anything else you see behind me.
Let's talk about it.
Are you subscribed yet?
So these goggles are excellent entry-level digital goggles. So if you want to get into the digital without breaking the bank, $200 price point as of today on these goggles. You can get into the digital market. Beta FPV, the Meteor 85 digitals combined with this and a pocket radio is an amazing starter set, and that's something we will be offering at GraysonHobby.com. Not only is it awesome that it's $200, even better, we have them in stock at GraysonHobby.com.
Where is that?
Right here, Atlanta, Georgia. Right here. In this, if you exit this room, you are not in Grayson Hobby. So let's go ahead and unbox this guy and see what's in the box, and then go from there. So move some of this, all this Walksnail stuff out of the way here, and the box opens up to the front flap here. Really nice packaging. So we have the goggle. Not a lot in this box here. Let's see. A little basic Intel card tells you what the buttons do. The power cable, a cloth, and that is it, guys.
Microfiber cloth.
Yeah, to clean the lens. So on this, we have a all-inclusive. There's no external antennas. There's no bulky stuff. There's no things to forget to put on or off. You have a power cord that goes in right here. Your battery power is 2 to 6 cell LiPo. So pretty much any drone battery you have laying around or whatever will work.
Where's the battery go?
So the battery, I'm going to show you on, well, mine's a angled cord, but it comes with a straight cord, but it will plug in the power right here. Okay. And it will be a straight cord that goes in. So you have power provided right there, and then that turns on the transmitter, or turns on the goggle. Wow, I'm so used to doing Radio Master videos.
All right, but where do you put the battery, though? Pocket or something?
So the battery is a long cord. You can put it in your pocket if you have a front pocket, back pocket, whatever. But it is plenty long. I mean, that is, what, 5 feet long, maybe? Okay. So pretty long cord there. And I'm just using one of my batteries left over from one of my 4-cell drones. Okay.
Look at that. It lights up. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does have a light. I believe you can turn that off in the settings as well. Really nice cushy foam on that. It's really nice and thick. It's not super thin like some of the cheap goggles out there. It does have, excuse me, the ability to put an aftermarket lens in there. So it doesn't have adjustable prescription strength lenses like you would with the Goggles X, but it is has the ability. You could either buy the frames separately for like $3 or $4, or you can go to Caddx's website and custom order with prescription strength. You put in all your information and order it for like $30 or so. So you can actually get custom lenses inserts for your prescription in that.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to like take glasses on.
So with that being said, can you wear your eyeglasses?
Given this one, the depth of it, you would have to have really small glasses. I would probably say this is better for contacts. Guys, if your eyes are really that messed up and you want to fly FPV, in all reality, spend the extra money, get the Goggles X. The ability to adjust the prescription strength and the focal points and all that is worth every penny. And I have poor eyesight. If I'm wearing my glasses that day and I can't see crap in pretty much anything else. So these are one of the few goggles I can actually see stuff in.
All right, so we digress.
But yes, moving back to the normal point here. I'm going to unplug that. So the goggles have a 9-axis gyro. There's not really a 9-axis gyro that I know of. It's 2 separate gyros inside here from what I understand. It's got a 6-axis gyro and then a 3-axis compass that acts like a gyro as well. And that gives you the head tracking capability. So with that, you have a port right here, headphone port. So that would plug into your transmitter. and then you could do a head tracking design. And Walksnail / Caddx has released gimbals that work in conjunction with these. You can either get a single axis, 2-axis, or 3-axis gimbal. That's a whole other video for another time.
Hold on. Explain like I am 5 years old. What is head tracking? What is it for?
So head tracking means you can actually look around. So you would have a gimbal unit that has either 1, 2, or 3 axis. And
your camera would be on the gimbal.
Your camera would be on the gimbal. So it would stabilize your video naturally. So just like your the GoPros and all that, the steady hand things. So you'd have that there. But with instead of having to use a servo like a control stick, you can actually use the gyros inside the goggle to control looking around.
So when you look left, the camera goes left.
It would follow. So it's almost like VR at that point.
Oh, cool.
So it's adding that realism to it.
Nice.
So if you have a twin engine plane, you can look over down at one of your engines or something like that if you're flying. I don't know how I do with drones, but RC cars, I've seen a couple videos online. If you pop on YouTube, there's a lot of cool videos that they're doing with radio controlled cars and the gimbal systems. I've seen some of the planes too, but the cars are opening up a whole new world, I think, on that one.
Now, I digress, but does this have the head tracker?
So this one only has a 6-axis head tracker. From what I understand, there is going to be future updates to work with the current gimbals, but apparently, as of this moment, the Caddx gimbals, I think, are only working with the built-in gimbal system.
Okay.
New product on the market. I haven't even got one in my hands yet, but I've seen a couple videos talking about it, so that's what I know on that one. So let's get back onto the goggles.
All right.
So feature-wise, this is capable of 1080p or 720p at 60 frames per second. The internal screen is 4.5 inches. So you have a 4.5-inch screen at the top with a mirror on the side on a 45-degree angle that will reflect it so you can see it. It does have a fan on the side that will circulate air. You'll see little vents in there, so it will put a little air through there to keep it from fogging a little bit, as well as vents on the top, stuff like that for cooling. Inside the goggle, even though there's no external antennas like you see on the Goggles X, there is still 4 antennas in here. You have 2 patch-style antennas for directional in the front, as well as 2 linear antennas in the top facing right like here and here. So you do have 4 antennas in there. So it's just like having the 4 antennas of the Goggles X, but they're not circular polarized, or they are 2 patches and 2 linear. So you don't have the ability to change them without drilling into the goggle and modifying. So this is designed to be a either beginner goggle to get into 1080p or 720p digital video for drones, planes, cars, stuff like that, or a cheaper alternative for someone that wants to tinker and not afraid to void a warranty. That's what I'd say on that one. Because they are UFL connectors inside. You can physically change them.
You didn't hear that.
What? Who said that? Well, warranties, and nobody follows that anyway. So you do have the joystick on the side. So this is your button to go through the menus. And then you have your back button, and then you have your record button, I believe, or the link button on that one.
Okay. So put those on real quick. How
So the
hard?
goggle itself...
Yeah. How do they feel?
So the actual face part here, if you look around, look at my nose, you know. There is a little bit of light leak for me, but I'm not pressing the goggles hard onto my face. So if I did have the strap all the way on, it actually cuts out most of that light leak.
If I hold that, how hard or difficult are the buttons to reach?
What, these right here?
Yeah.
They're right there. I mean, they're actually in a pretty good spot.
Okay.
So it does have a nice backing to the strap. It's actually kind of nice. Because that's why I actually like the strap on this a lot better than the Goggles X, believe it or not.
Yeah, because that's
not a fan of the Goggles X strap.
That's how they usually come, but that's got a nice.
And then it's got screws to hold it, so you can change it out. It's not a one and done. If you aftermarket ones, I could imagine people doing like the Quest straps and stuff like that and crazy stuff with it. Mm-hmm. But the foam is Velcroed on, so if you do have to change it, aftermarket foam, etc., that is
you replace it.
Replace
it just if it gets ripped or whatever.
So the goggle itself. Nice, small, compact. Look at the physical size of this guy compared to the Goggles X. It's longer, but actually narrower. For those of you that want dimensions, we're looking at about 5.5 inches wide, and depth to this part is 4 inches, with the total foam wrapped around at its longest point is just under 5. And then the height, about 2.5, a little over 2.5, 2 3/4 inches.
Oh, do you have a scale?
I don't.
What?
It got stolen when we got robbed. The goggle weight of this, it's about 350 grams or so, so it's not heavy, but it is a slightly heavier than a cheap analog box goggle. So if you're familiar with using any of the older, like the Beta FPV ones or the Eachine, stuff like that, I would say it's about that. But it doesn't feel heavy on the face in comparison because it's not as long. So when you compare it with a lot of the older analogs that are super long, like the EV800s and all that,
Oh, yeah,
it doesn't feel as bad on the face because it's not super long.
Right.
So that is a nice feature of that. The goggles themselves, between the Goggles X, if you have the money, I still say Goggles X, but that's not what, this is not a heads-up comparison. They're both going to get the job done. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the fact that this is 60 frames per second. This one has the ability of 100 frames per second.
Oh, so this is what, 60 frames per second?
60 frames per second and up to 100 frames per second, depending on what mode.
What's the difference? Tell me.
So the more frames per second is basically, think about it, if you're driving down the road and you're opening and closing your eyes, opening and closing your eyes. The more time your eyes open, the more frames you're getting in. The more you're opening and closing faster. So 60 times a second versus 100 times a second.
That's almost double.
Yeah. So you'll be able to, like, if you're racing and you're running around high speed and all that, you'll be able to get more data faster without perceived latency.
So you can see the tree coming before you hit it.
In a way, yeah. 60 frames. If you're just flying around, if you're just cruising around, if you're flying a plane, doing a crawler car, or you know, like the whoop drones and stuff like that, if you're just trying to get good video, honestly, 60 frames is enough. And if you're doing videos that you're uploading to YouTube and all that, most YouTube videos you're going to find at 23 to 30 frames per second for the film industry and all that.
Right. So if the waste, if you want it just for that, for cinematography. All right.
Latency is going to be the same between the two, depending on the mode and all. If you set the same settings, latency is going to be about the same. You're not going to have anything different there between the high end and low end, but you will have higher latency on digital than you would on analog. But 1080p or 720p is amazing looking through the goggles versus analog.
All right, DVR. We all like to share our stuff.
So not only does Walksnail generally have an onboard DVR or SD card, depending on which model of the camera you're using on the drone, the goggles do also have a SD card slot. So if you move the foam down slightly, you do have a micro SD card slot there, and that is where you can record videos on the goggles.
So if you crash your drone, it goes in the drink.
Exactly. It's good to have that backup, yes. Also, if you're doing firmware updates, this is a digital platform. Caddx has been pretty active as far as almost monthly updates, or sometimes a little more often, that they've done vast improvements to the system since it first came out. So depending on when you got your drone or your camera system, the firmware could be different on it than the goggles, and you do want to make sure you're on the same firmware. So with that being said, you would put the SD card in there.
So you download the firmware from the internet.
Yeah, you download it off Caddx's website, and then you'll push and hold the button for 10 seconds, and then it starts beeping, and it does a little update screen. Generally, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to update the goggles, 20 seconds to a minute or so usually on the video transmitters.
Nice.
But very quick, very simple, very easy to update, and it's just a really nice platform that does 1080p without breaking the bank.
And the price, it blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to get a drone, goggle, and radio for the price of a goggle almost, depending on what you get.
Digital.
So, in digital, yeah. And I mean, this is still cheaper than any Fat Shark, it used to be back in the day.